Why rich people buy assets while others buy liabilities. Have you ever wondered why some people build lasting wealth while others work just as hard, yet struggle their entire lives? Meet Emma. She is the definition of diligent. She shows up early, works late, and pours her energy into her career every single day. She earns a decent salary and tries her best to budget, yet her money vanishes long before the month ends. Rent, utilities, shopping, recurring subscriptions, and loan payments act like a vacuum, draining her account the moment her paycheck hits. She feels like she is running on a treadmill, exhausted, but never moving forward. One afternoon, Emma met David, a seasoned financial mentor. Observing her quiet stress, David asked a simple, piercing question, "Emma, do you truly know the difference between assets and liabilities?" Emma gave an awkward, sheepish smile. "Not really." David nodded steadily. "That one distinction is the pivot point of your entire financial future. Let's start with assets. Assets are the engines of wealth. An asset is anything that puts money into your pocket. A rental property sends you a check every month. Strategic investments grow in value and generate returns. Owning a business can create income even while you sleep. Assets are the silent partners working to build your future. Now, consider liabilities," he continued. Liabilities are the opposite. They are anything that takes money out of your pocket. That luxury car might look impressive, but it demands constant fuel, insurance, and maintenance. Buying status symbols just to impress others will only bleed your resources and stall your progress. One brings money in, the other sends it out. The realization hit Emma with sudden clarity. She understood that her paycheck shouldn't be a fund for instant gratification, but a seed fund for growth. She began to prioritize purchasing assets over chasing luxuries. She learned that even small, consistent investments compound over time. She realized that patience is the greatest tool in a builder's kit, and that financial knowledge is an investment that pays lifelong dividends. Instead of buying every new gadget, Emma started saving first. She automated small investments each month. Little by little, the dynamic shifted. Her money stopped being something that just disappeared, it started becoming a workforce that labored for her, even while she rested. This was only the beginning of Emma's journey toward true financial freedom. She was no longer just working for money, she was learning how to make money work for her. And this was only the first step, because in the next chapter, David is set to reveal the single biggest, most destructive mistake that keeps most people trapped in the cycle of poverty. David's first lesson was simple: know where every dollar goes. Emma realized that she had been living in a fog, unaware of the leaks in her financial bucket. She sat down and listed every expense she had each month, from the largest rent payment down to the smallest subscription fee. She was shocked. She found she was spending hundreds on things she didn't truly need: convenience fees, impulse purchases, and social costs. David explained the foundational difference between needs and wants. Needs are what help you live and sustain your health and productivity, he said. Wants make life more enjoyable, but they are optional. When you confuse them, you surrender your future for a temporary dopamine hit. Emma decided to take control. She stopped letting her wants dictate her life. Every payday, she followed a golden rule: save and invest before spending anything. Her savings slowly began to grow, and for the first time, she saw a surplus. David called this the snowball effect. Just as a small ball of snow gains mass as it rolls, small financial habits become powerful over time. Emma didn't stop there. She began learning about the world of investing. David gave her a crucial warning: never put all your eggs in one basket. This was the principle of diversification, a shield against total loss. Emma started with a small, manageable amount. She wasn't chasing a get-rich-quick scheme, she was playing the long game. She understood that time is an investor's greatest ally. As she learned, her confidence grew. She stopped looking at what her peers were buying. She realized that looking rich is a trap, while being rich is a quiet, steady process of accumulation. Month after month, her investments hummed along in the background. Soon, she received her first dividend payment, money paid to her just for owning an asset. It wasn't a fortune, but it was a spark. Money was finally working for her. She realized that financial freedom begins the moment your passive income exceeds your basic expenses. By canceling unused services and making intentional choices, her budget transformed from a restrictive burden into a roadmap to success. Emma had changed, but David had one more powerful secret to share: how to make money work while she slept. David smiled as he sat across from Emma. "You've seen the power of saving, but now we must discuss velocity. The wealthy don't just work for money, they make money work for them." He explained the hard truth: there are only so many hours in a day. If you rely solely on your own labor, your income will always have a ceiling. Time is limited, but the potential for passive income is infinite. Imagine, David said, earning money while you are asleep, while you are traveling, or while you are spending time with your family. He broke it down into streams. Rental properties generate monthly rent. Dividend-paying stocks reward the patient investor with profit sharing. Business ventures, once established, can run autonomously. Each of these represents a different stream flowing into the same reservoir of wealth. Relying on a single paycheck is like walking a tightrope without a net. It is inherently risky. Emma began to treat her investments like planting a forest. At first, the ground is empty and the growth is invisible. It requires patience and consistent watering. But with time, those trees grow deep roots and provide shade and fruit for decades. She stopped chasing appearances and started chasing assets. David then introduced the most powerful force in finance: compound growth. It is the concept that your money earns money, and then those new earnings earn even more. It is an exponential curve. Time, David reminded her, is the greatest friend of an investor. Start early, stay consistent, and let the math do the heavy lifting. Emma realized she didn't need to be a genius to become wealthy, she just needed to be consistent. She was no longer just an employee, she was an architect of her own economy. And as she looked forward, she wondered what other habits defined the truly wealthy. David asked Emma a probing question: do you know what truly separates the rich from everyone else? Many think it's a high salary, but that's not always true. It's their habits. Successful people build their day with purpose. While others spend their mornings scrolling through social media or worrying about the day's stress, the wealthy spend their time learning, planning, and refining their goals. Emma took this to heart. She wrote down her financial destination. She didn't view success as one giant leap, but as a series of thousands of small, disciplined decisions. She automated her investments. By making the process automatic, she removed the temptation to skip a month. She learned the art of saying no to today's small desires to say yes to tomorrow's absolute freedom. This is called delayed gratification, the ability to resist the lure of status symbols in favor of building a foundation. Months passed. Emma's progress was undeniable. Her debt was shrinking, her savings were swelling, and her investment accounts were ticking upward. There were days when progress felt slow, but David reminded her that consistency beats perfection. Every choice, from the coffee she made at home to the stock she researched, was a brick in the wall of her future. She began to see the world differently. She started sharing her knowledge with friends and family, realizing that financial education is a gift that multiplies when it is given away. Wealth wasn't about luck or a winning lottery ticket, it was about the quiet, boring, and brilliant execution of smart decisions repeated day after day. Her assets were beginning to create opportunities she hadn't even dreamed of yet. She had built the system, but now she needed to master the final ingredient, the mental foundation. David looked at Emma and said, "You have the tools, you have the system, but you must remember, the greatest asset you will ever own is your mindset. Your thoughts determine your financial reality. A poor mindset says, "I can't afford that." A wealthy mindset asks, "How can I afford that?" The latter forces your brain to look for creative solutions, new income streams, and more efficient ways to operate. Learning always precedes earning. Emma invested her spare time in reading, attending workshops, and mastering new skills. She understood that skills are the only assets that can never be taken away by market crashes or inflation. As her professional skills improved, her income rose. But here is the secret: Emma didn't upgrade her lifestyle. She kept her expenses flat and invested the extra income. This is the secret to wealth acceleration. She now had multiple income streams feeding into her portfolio. Even during tough times, her wealth didn't stop, it just pivoted. She no longer felt the anxiety of living paycheck to paycheck because her assets provided a safety net that no employer could offer. She became a beacon for her family, guiding them toward better habits. She realized that money is just a tool, like a hammer or a computer, meant to build a life of purpose. She wasn't doing this to hoard gold, she was doing this to buy back her time. She was finally in control. David was proud. The seeds they had planted had turned into a lush garden of financial security. But there was one final, parting wisdom he needed to leave with her. "Emma," David said, "you have transformed. You've moved from a cycle of struggle to a life of design." Emma looked back at where she started. It all began with one simple decision to take control. Months ago, she spent mindlessly. Now, every single dollar had a mission. She had learned that wealth is not a destination, but a lifestyle of consistency. Her investments were now working harder than she ever had to in the past. She had created a machine that supported her life, and she was free to focus on her true passions. She had become a teacher to those around her, proving that anyone, regardless of their starting point, can change their trajectory. Every payday, David reminded her, you face a choice: spend it all and remain a prisoner of your paycheck, or build a better tomorrow and buy your freedom. Emma chose to pay herself first. She treated saving like a bill that must be paid. She realized that discipline is far more reliable than luck. She no longer cared about flashy cars or expensive trends. Her pride was found in her growing net worth and the peace of mind that came with it. She was prepared for any challenge the world might throw at her because she had built her house on a rock of assets and knowledge. Every great journey begins with a single, small choice. Start where you are. Buy assets. Be consistent. Never stop learning. Wealth isn't about what you show the world, it's about what you keep for yourself and your future. The best day to start was yesterday. The second best day is today. You have the power to define your own financial destiny. Thank you for walking this path with us. If this story resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it.